What if I told you that the difference between a 75-year-old who's still climbing stairs, chasing grandkids, and living completely independent, and a 75-year-old who's struggling to stand up from a chair has almost nothing to do with genetics? Geriatric researchers have spent the last 2 decades trying to answer one question: why do some people in their 70s move like they're 50 while others start declining fast? And the answer keeps coming back to the same thing. It's not the number of candles on the birthday cake, it's whether 5 very specific movement patterns are still active in the body. I want to be honest with you right away. This isn't about turning back the clock overnight. There's no magic pill hiding in a gym. But what researchers have found is that the human body, even after 70, 80, even 90 years, still responds to the right kind of movement. Muscles that haven't been used in years can wake back up. Balance that feels shaky can become steady again, and strength that seems gone for good can come back, sometimes dramatically. Here's the myth I want to bust right at the start, because I think it's quietly stealing years from people's lives. Somewhere along the way, we all absorbed this idea that aging is a straight line going downward. And once you lose strength, once your balance starts to go, that's just it. That's the new normal. You adjust and you accept it. That belief is wrong. And it's not just wrong, it's dangerous, because it stops people from doing the one thing that could actually change their trajectory. Here's what's really happening in the body as we age. It's not that your muscles simply vanish. It's that the connection between your brain and your muscles gets quieter. Your nervous system stops sending strong signals to certain muscle groups, especially the ones that keep you balanced and the ones that get you up out of a chair. When those signals go quiet, the muscle fibers they use to activate go dormant. They're still there. They've just stopped being asked to work, and that's exactly why targeted movement, not just walking around the house, not just general daily activity, but specific, deliberate exercises can flip that switch back on. This is actually one of the most well-documented findings in aging research. The National Institute on Aging and researchers across the world have shown again and again that strength and balance training, done consistently, can meaningfully slow, and in some measurable ways reverse, the physical decline that people assume is permanent. Falls, frailty, loss of independence, these aren't just things that happen to you as you get older. In a huge number of cases, they're the result of muscles and nervous system pathways that simply stopped being challenged. And here's the part that really surprised researchers when they started digging deeper. It's not intense workouts that make the biggest difference for people over 70. It's not marathons. It's not heavy gym sessions. The exercises that create the most dramatic improvements in strength, balance, and independence are shockingly simple. They take minutes, not hours. They need no equipment, or at most a sturdy chair and a wall. And yet, done the right way, they can restore abilities that doctors sometimes assume are gone for good. So today, we're going to walk through the 5 exercises that matter most after 70, ranked from powerful to absolutely essential. And I want you to stay with me all the way to the end, because the final exercise on this list is one that geriatric doctors quietly consider one of the single best predictors of how many more healthy, independent years someone has left. It sounds almost too simple to matter. It matters more than almost anything else on this list. Before we get into it, I'd love to know something. How old are you right now, and what's the one physical change, whether it's your balance, your knees, your energy, that's worried you the most lately? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and honestly, a lot of what shapes future videos comes directly from what you all share down there. All right, let's start with number 5. Number 5, the heel-to-toe balance walk. This one looks almost too basic to make a list like this. It's just walking in a straight line, placing one foot directly in front of the other, heel touching toe, like you're walking a tightrope on the floor. But physical therapists who specialize in fall prevention will tell you this single movement is one of the most underused tools for restoring stability in older adults. Here's why it matters so much. Falls are the leading cause of injury among adults over 65, according to the CDC, and the vast majority of falls don't happen because someone tripped over something dramatic. They happen because the body's balance system, the inner ear, the eyes, and the muscles around the ankles and hips all working together, has quietly gotten weaker from disuse. The heel-to-toe walk directly challenges that system in a way that normal walking simply doesn't. When you narrow your stance to a single line, your body has to work much harder to stay upright. Your ankle stabilizer muscles, the ones most people completely stop training as they age, have to fire constantly to make tiny corrections. Your inner ear has to communicate faster with your legs. And over just a few weeks of practice, this retrains a system that most people assume can only get worse with age. To do it, find a hallway or a clear stretch of floor, and if you're at all unsteady, stand near a wall or countertop you can reach for support. Place one foot directly in front of the other so your heel touches the toes of your back foot. Arms out to your sides for balance, and take slow, deliberate steps across 10 to 15 feet. Turn around and walk back. If that feels too difficult at first, there's no shame in starting with a modified version. Stand next to a countertop, feet in the heel-to-toe position, and simply hold that stance for 20 to 30 seconds without walking. Once that feels stable, add the walking motion. As you improve, the progression is to try it with your eyes closed for just a few seconds at a time, which forces your body to rely more on the inner ear and less on vision, building a deeper layer of balance resilience. Physical therapists often use this exact progression with patients recovering from falls or hip surgery. The best time to practice this is earlier in the day, when you feel most alert, and even just 5 minutes, 3 or 4 times a week, has been shown in balance training research to meaningfully reduce fall risk over time. It sounds almost too small to matter, but this is the foundation everything else on this list is built on top of. Now let's move to something that most people think only matters for their arms, but is quietly protecting something much more important. Number 4, wall push-ups. When you hear push-ups, your mind probably jumps to the floor version. And understandably, that's not something everyone over 70 wants to attempt, especially getting up and down off the ground. That's exactly why the wall version deserves so much more attention than it gets. Wall push-ups train the same muscle groups, your chest, shoulders, and the back of your arms, without any of the joint stress or fall risk that comes with floor-based exercises. But what makes this exercise genuinely important after 70 isn't just the muscle it builds, it's what happens in your bones and your wrists. Bone density naturally declines with age, and one of the most overlooked consequences of that decline shows up in the wrists and forearms, which are exactly the bones people instinctively use to catch themselves during a fall. Research on resistance training in older adults has consistently shown that weight-bearing upper body exercises, even gentle ones like wall push-ups, help maintain bone density in these exact areas, which can make a real difference in whether a fall results in a fracture or not. To perform it, stand facing a wall, about arm's length away, and place your palms flat against the wall at shoulder height, slightly wider than your shoulders. Keeping your body in a straight line from head to heels, slowly bend your elbows and lower your chest toward the wall, then push back to the starting position. Start with 2 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions. As this gets easier, you can increase the challenge by standing a little further from the wall, which increases the angle and the resistance without adding any impact or fall risk. Some people eventually progress to doing the same movement against a sturdy countertop, which is slightly more challenging than the wall version. Try to do this in the late morning or early afternoon, after your body has warmed up a bit through normal daily movement, which reduces strain on the shoulders. 2 to 3 sessions a week is enough to start seeing real improvements. Now, here's an exercise that doctors quietly use to measure something most people have never even thought about. Number 3, the chair stand. I want you to pay close attention to this one, because physical therapists and geriatric doctors actually use a version of this exact movement as a clinical test. It's called the sit-to-stand test, and it's used specifically to assess leg strength, fall risk, and overall functional independence in older adults. In other words, this isn't just an exercise. It's one of the closest things medicine has to a physical age test. Here's what's happening in your body every single time you stand up from a chair without using your hands. Your quadriceps, the large muscles at the front of your thighs, have to generate enough force to lift your entire body weight against gravity in a single controlled motion. This is one of the very first abilities that starts to fade with age, and it's also one of the most trainable. Research on functional fitness in older adults has repeatedly shown that people who can perform multiple chair stands without using their arms tend to maintain independence, mobility, and lower fall risk far longer than those who can't. To practice this safely, sit toward the front edge of a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor, hip-width apart. Cross your arms over your chest, or keep them relaxed at your sides if you need a little help balancing at first. Lean slightly forward. Then push through your heels and stand all the way up using only your legs, not your hands or arms. slowly lower yourself back down with control rather than dropping into the chair. If a full stand feels too difficult right now, that's completely fine, and honestly expected for many people starting out. Begin with your hands lightly resting on your thighs or the arms of the chair for assistance, and simply focus on the slow, controlled lowering. The progression that really matters here is doing this in sets. Try 5 repetitions, rest, then try for 8, then 10. Once 10 repetitions without your hands feels manageable, that's a meaningful sign of genuinely improved lower body strength. Practicing this in the morning, right after waking up, is particularly useful because it directly counteracts the stiffness and muscle weakness that naturally builds up overnight, and it sets your legs up to move more confidently for the rest of the day. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to ask you for something quick. If this video is giving you value, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this information reach more people who need to hear it, especially people who might be quietly struggling with the exact things we're talking about today. Number 2, standing marches with arm swings. This exercise looks almost like marching in place, and in a way, that's exactly what it is. But the reason it earns such a high spot on this list is because of what it does simultaneously for your cardiovascular system, your coordination, and your hip strength. 3 things that tend to decline together as we age, and which most simple exercises only address one at a time. When you lift your knees while swinging your opposite arm forward, you're training something called cross-body coordination, the communication between the left and right sides of your brain and body. This exact type of coordinated movement has been studied for its role in maintaining balance and reducing the risk of the kind of shuffling, unsteady gait that becomes common in advanced age. At the same time, lifting your knees repeatedly strengthens your hip flexors, the muscles responsible for lifting your leg when you walk, climb stairs, or step over something in your path, muscles that weaken significantly with a sedentary lifestyle. To do this, stand tall, holding onto a countertop or chair back if you need extra stability. Lift your right knee up toward your waist while swinging your left arm forward, then lower and repeat on the other side. Keep a steady, controlled rhythm rather than rushing. Start with 30 seconds of continuous marching, resting as needed, and build up gradually to 2 or 3 minutes at a time. As it becomes easier, you can increase the challenge by lifting your knees slightly higher or by doing the exercise without holding on to anything at all once your balance feels confident enough. This is a wonderful exercise to do in short bursts throughout the day, even while waiting for the kettle to boil or during a commercial break. Several short sessions spread across the day tend to be even more sustainable and effective for building cardiovascular and coordination benefits than one long session. And now we've arrived at the exercise that quietly might matter more than everything else on this list combined. Everything we've covered so far builds toward this one movement, because the squat, done correctly, brings together strength, balance, cardiovascular health, and even nervous system regulation, all in a single motion. It is, without exaggeration, one of the most functional movements the human body performs, because almost everything you do in daily life, standing up, sitting down, getting in and out of a car, using the bathroom independently, is essentially a version of a squat. What makes this version powerful isn't just the movement itself, but the breathing pattern paired with it. Controlled breathing during resistance movement has been shown in research to activate the parasympathetic nervous system while also improving oxygen delivery to working muscles. In practical terms, this means the exercise does double duty, building physical strength while also lowering the kind of chronic low-grade stress that's been linked to accelerated aging in multiple studies. Here's how to do it safely. Stand in front of a sturdy chair with your feet shoulder-width apart as though you're about to sit down. Inhale slowly through your nose as you bend your knees and lower yourself toward the seat, keeping your chest up and your weight in your heels. Lightly touch the chair with your hips without fully sitting down. Then exhale steadily through your mouth as you push back up to standing. If lowering all the way to a light touch on the chair feels too demanding at first, that's completely normal. You can begin by simply practicing the breathing pattern while holding on to the chair back and bending your knees only slightly, gradually deepening the movement over several weeks as your strength improves. The progression that matters most here isn't speed or repetitions, it's depth and control. Start with 5 slow, breath-paced squats. As your legs strengthen, work toward 8, then 10. Some eventually progress to doing this without touching the chair at all. The best time to practice this is in the morning, ideally before other activities, since it activates the same muscle groups you'll rely on throughout the entire day, and the breathing component can genuinely set a calmer tone for whatever comes next. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. None of these 5 exercises require a gym membership, expensive equipment, or hours of your day. What they require is consistency and a willingness to challenge parts of your body that may have gone quiet simply because they haven't been asked to work in a while. Start with just one of these exercises today. Give yourself a week to get comfortable with the movement and the breathing before adding the next one. There's no rush here. The goal isn't to master all 5 overnight. It's to build a routine you can genuinely keep doing for years, because that consistency is where the real transformation happens. The truth is, independence and mobility later in life aren't handed to you, and they're not simply taken away by age either. In a huge number of cases, they're earned or lost based on whether these exact muscle groups and movement patterns stay active. The good news is that it's rarely too late to start. If this video gave you something useful today, hit subscribe, because we're going to keep bringing you clear, honest, research-informed guidance on staying strong and independent as you age. How old are you? And which one of these 5 exercises are you going to start with first? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and I'll see you in the next video.